The life of Pablo Escobar, the king of cocaine. Intro: there are criminals and then there are legends. Some men become rich, some become powerful, but very few become so feared that entire governments tremble at the sound of their name. This is the story of Pablo Escobar, the most powerful drug lord in history. A man who built an empire from cocaine, controlled politicians, judges, and police officers, and turned Colombia into a battlefield. At the height of his power, he earned millions of dollars every single day. People called him the king of cocaine, but behind the money, luxury, and fame was a life filled with blood, fear, betrayal, and violence. This is the rise and the fall of Pablo Escobar. Early life: Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born on December 1, 1949, in Rio Negro, Colombia. He grew up in a poor family. His father was a farmer, and his mother was a school teacher. From an early age, Pablo was ambitious. He didn't want a normal life. He wanted power. He wanted money. As a teenager, he started with small crimes. He sold fake diplomas. He smuggled illegal cigarettes. He stole cars. People who knew him said that even as a young man, Pablo had no fear. He believed rules were for weak people. During the 1970s, Colombia became a major center for drug trafficking, and Pablo saw an opportunity that would change the world forever. The rise of the Medellín Cartel: Pablo Escobar entered the cocaine business when demand for drugs exploded in the United States. At first, he worked with small traffickers, but Pablo wasn't interested in being small. He wanted total control. Soon, he created the Medellín Cartel, one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in history. The cartel transported massive amounts of cocaine from Colombia into America. At one point, the Medellín Cartel controlled around 80% of the world's cocaine trade. The money became unbelievable. Escobar earned so much cash that his organization reportedly spent thousands of dollars every month just on rubber bands to hold stacks of money together. Some reports claimed he made over $60 million per day. He bought luxury mansions, private planes, expensive cars, and enormous estates. One of his most famous properties was Hacienda and Pols, the giant private estate with a zoo, lakes, exotic animals, and even a private airport. Pablo Escobar was no longer just a criminal. He became one of the richest men on earth. Plata o plomo. Escobar ruled with one simple phrase: plata o plomo, silver or lead, money or bullets. If politicians, police officers, or judges accepted his bribes, they lived rich lives. If they refused, they died. This strategy allowed Pablo to corrupt huge parts of Colombia's government. Fear spread everywhere. Judges were assassinated. Police officers were murdered. Journalists disappeared. Anyone who stood against Escobar became a target. And the violence only grew worse. Pablo Escobar, the Robin Hood, but surprisingly, many poor people loved him. In the slums of Medellín, Escobar built houses for poor families. He paid for football fields. He gave away money to thousands of people. He wasn't a monster. He was a hero. Some even called him the Robin Hood of Colombia. Pablo understood something important. If the poor protected him, authorities would struggle to catch him. And for years, that strategy worked perfectly. Entering politics, Escobar didn't just want money. He wanted legitimacy. In the early 1980s, he entered Colombian politics. He became an alternate member of Congress and tried to present himself as a respectable businessman and public figure. But his enemies started exposing the truth about his criminal empire. Soon, the government publicly connected Pablo Escobar to drug trafficking. Escobar became furious, and that anger would push Colombia into one of the darkest periods in its history. War against the government, when Colombian authorities began cooperating with the United States to extradite drug traffickers. Escobar declared war. He feared being sent to an American prison more than death itself. So he responded with terror. Bombings exploded across Colombia. Cars filled with explosives destroyed buildings. Politicians were assassinated. Judges were murdered. Even innocent civilians became victims. In 1989, Escobar's cartel planted a bomb on Avianca Flight 203. The explosion killed more than 100 people. The cartel was also responsible for attacks against newspapers, police stations, and government buildings. Colombia became a war zone. The entire country lived in fear. The private prison. Eventually, the Colombian government made a shocking deal with Escobar. If he surrendered, he would avoid extradition to the United States. But there was one unbelievable condition. Pablo Escobar would build his own prison. That prison became known as La Catedral. But it wasn't really a prison. It was more like a luxury resort. Escobar had parties, alcohol, football fields, and complete control inside the facility. He continued running his criminal empire even while officially imprisoned, but eventually, the government realized the situation had become absurd. Authorities decided to move him to a real prison, and before they could transfer him, Pablo Escobar escaped. The manhunt after his escape, one of the biggest manhunts in history, began. Colombian police, intelligence agencies, and American forces worked together to hunt him down. Escobar spent months hiding in safe houses across Colombia, but his empire was collapsing. Many of his allies were dead or arrested. Rival cartels wanted revenge, and the government was getting closer every day. Despite all his money and power, Pablo Escobar was running out of options. The death of Escobar on December 2, 1993, just one day after his 44th birthday. Authorities finally found him in Medellín. Escobar tried to escape across rooftops. Gunfire erupted. Moments later, Pablo Escobar was dead. Some believe he was killed by Colombian police. Others think he may have taken his own life to avoid capture. But one thing was certain: the reign of the world's most infamous drug lord was over. Legacy even today, Pablo Escobar remains one of the most controversial figures in modern history. To some people, he was a ruthless murderer responsible for thousands of deaths. To others, especially among the poor, he was a man who helped forgotten communities. But no matter how people remember him, his impact on Colombia and the world was enormous. His story became books, documentaries, TV shows, and movies. But behind all the fame and mythology was a brutal reality: violence, addiction, fear, death. Pablo Escobar built one of the largest criminal empires the world has ever seen. But in the end, even unlimited money and power could not save him. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. And tell me in the comments, was Pablo Escobar a criminal mastermind or one of the most dangerous men in modern history? Thanks for watching.